And now, our feature presentation.
On tonight's episode, we're going to be covering some of my favorite horror titles in both gaming and film. We're going to talk about The Lost City of America, its completion, and where we're going next on the channel with some new content. And we're going to throw some Viper Pit clips at you from previous streams that I had done, but they're all going to be Halloween appropriate. So what do you say we get this started, It's probably no secret to anybody who's watched this channel, either when it came to my live streaming career or here now on YouTube, that I really prefer the retro when it comes to all things. Music, television, movies, gaming. I feel like the term retro is a little weird in its definition, but when I refer to retro, I'm talking about the things that are based from probably the mid to late 80s going into the 1990s, and some people would even consider the late 90s and early 2000s as retro these days. I'm sure somebody can jump into the comment section and educate me onto what it is considered retro now in 2025. With that being said, if we're going to be talking horror movies and what I prefer to watch, that's the range that we're going with here. Anywhere between the 1980s into the early 2000s, and the early 2000s is kind of where it stops. That's once we get there, that's when my interests start getting choppy with horror films, because I feel like they drastically change. I mean, they drastically change all throughout the decades as we go. There's a podcast out there on Spotify that Slappy and I had done where we discuss horror movies, and I think we get into a little bit of the history of horror movies and how they evolved throughout the decades and the science behind the fear of it. I could also be getting mixed up with one of the papers I wrote for school as well, because for one of my classes I actually wrote a paper on the science and psychology behind fear and what it does to people and how it drives them. I was born in 1986, so late 80s, early 90s, you came across this stuff quite a bit. And to be honest, when you look back on it, a lot of rated R stuff was re-geared towards kids in a lot of ways. Like RoboCop became something that kids loved.
All Cop, the ultimate in law enforcement. RoboCop and the Ultra Police, the only cops with rapid repeat cap firing.
He's unstoppable.
But that was a movie that was totally meant for adults. You know, The Toxic Avenger became a thing for kids. Freddy Krueger, who was and am still a huge fan of Nightmare on Elm Street. That is my favorite horror film, just to throw that one out there. But even as a kid, like, I wasn't afraid of Freddy. I loved Freddy. I was afraid of Michael Myers. Michael Myers scared the hell out of me when I was a kid. But not Freddy. I don't know what it was about him, but he was just cool as hell.
Freddy's home.
So obviously, when it comes to the Halloween season, I definitely jump into the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I'll watch the whole series. I have a big affinity for the first three films. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, I would consider that to be my favorite film, but that's because my earliest memory of Nightmare on Elm Street is somewhere between the TV show, Freddy's Nightmares, and Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
But when our minds wander too far, we lose control and enter the dark, deadly world of Freddy Krueger, where nightmares come alive. Experience Freddy's World every Saturday when A Nightmare on Elm Street, Freddy's Nightmares, comes to Channel 9.
Which, if you look at the years of those, both of those came, I think they're both Freddy's Nightmares was 1988 to 1990, and I believe Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4 came out in 1988, right? Think so?
3 days later.
Let's see. Nightmare on Elm Street 4, 1988. Yep. There it is. Sweet. Okay, cool. So, somewhere in between there, that's one of those is my earliest memory of Nightmare on Elm Street. And so I tend to jump towards that, but I'll also watch the Halloween series as well too. And now when we're talking about so many different continuities of Halloween existing these days with the newest series that had just come out, when I watch Halloween, I go with the originals. I watched the first one, I watched the second one, and yes, Yeah, I'm not watching Halloween 3 because I'm looking for Michael Myers. I actually, as taboo as it may seem, I love Halloween 3. Crying out loud, it's got Tom Atkins in it. How terrible can it be? But at its core, it's a pretty visceral story. I mean, I don't want to give away the ending, even though the movie is decades old, but like, it's pretty bad. The kids are the thing that is the target here in this film. And it has to do with the cool Halloween setting and such too. So, like, go into that movie without looking for Michael Myers and try to think of it as it was meant to be. I mean, whether we want to talk about John Carpenter making a fluke or not by trying to go with his anthology idea with Halloween 3, that's a discussion for another day. But it's just look at Halloween 3 as just a separate story. Don't worry about the Michael Myers thing and just check it out for Tom Atkins being absolutely insane throughout parts of that movie. It's great. It's fantastic. Please just do it.
Stop it! Stop it!
Another good go-to for mine, of course, on a Halloween season would be Night of the Demons. I mean, a party in a decrepit Gothic-style house with demons running around possessing people. You really can't go wrong with that one, so definitely check that one out too. And I always like to throw Trick or Treat in there, which has our little friend Sam running around. That movie is actually a really fantastic anthology movie. I know by this time now in 2025, a lot of people probably know about that. But I remember for a time when that movie first came out, a lot of people didn't know about it. And I was always running around with a DVD on hand of that movie. I don't know why in my memory I have memory of carrying a DVD around with me and showing that movie to people because I just thought it was so good. When it comes to the formula of anthology, that movie pretty much gets it right as far as I'm concerned. And I'm someone who grew up watching Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone, Tales from the Dark Side, Monsters. Like, we could throw some anthologies at you out there. So I'm really big into that stuff. And when I see a good anthology, I feel like people need to check it out. And Trick or Treat is definitely one that stays in line with the Halloween season. The story takes place in one night in one town, but you're checking out, I think, 4 different stories that all happen to intertwine in a very, very, very clever way. So make sure you go check that one out if you have not. Trick or Treat. Yeah. And finally now, because I'm a dad, I can finally relive a whole bunch of stuff that I did when I was a kid. When it came to Halloween, I mean, I can't replicate what it felt like to be growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and getting to experience Halloween in New York City at that time. For those of you that are watching who may know about that, it was a thing. It was crazy. And it was fun, and it was different, and it felt just, as some people would describe it, felt like another world. Can't give that to my son completely, but Charlie Brown and the Great Pumpkin is something that I can definitely show to him. It was something that we watched every year, of course, a whole bunch. Whether I wanted to or not, it was on at some point, at some time. But my son, who is about to be 3 years old, he loves stuff like that. And just this evening before I started recording, he was watching it and loving it there. But that's one that I'm going to throw out there simply because it's something that my son is in the process of reliving. And also because one of my favorite parts of the movie Trick or Treat that we mentioned a little bit earlier has something to say about Charlie Brown. We'll just give it to you right here.
We'll watch Charlie Brown, and I'll be in a minute.
Charlie Brown's an asshole.
Billy Wilkins. Language.
And so with that, because we're so into Resident Evil here on this channel, especially those of you who watched me live, you know that was the big thing here. You're probably wondering, well, does Viper like any zombie movies? Yes, I do. And that is a topic that we could do a whole other episode about. But for now, I'm going to show you a pre-recorded video that I had done for the streaming content. But I don't think I ever actually showed it. It was something that we were supposed to show during our Digital Horror Fest, which was me doing horror-based streaming every year for the entire month of October. I don't really live stream as much as I used to, if not at all. So I don't do the Digital Horror Fest, but we'll give you the intro to the Digital Horror Fest as it was when I used to do live streaming, and then we'll show you a quick little video here about some of my favorite horror titles that include, you guessed it, zombies.
You do that. Now.
I'm sorry. I didn't know that it was... Here, hold this. You feel better?
I got good news and bad news, girls. The good news is your dates are here.
What's the bad news?
They're dead.
Shit. Oh, shit. Cynthia, look. Look, you squeeze this thing to fire, okay? Jesus, Cynthia! Try and fire it! Do something, damn it!
Well, don't go out there.
So fire what I do, okay? Are you ready? Now!
I'm very disappointed in you. You steal the secret of life and death, and here you are, trysting with the bubble-headed co-ed. You're not even a second-rate scientist.
Ah, Mr. West, I'm actually glad to see you. It saves me the trouble of having to send for you.
You'll never get credit for my discovery. Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow.
Can't tell how many on the porch. Better be the toughest getting past those. Once we get to the yard, we ought to be all right. Not too many out there.
There's no way. This is crazy. You're never going to make it.
Who's there?
We'll be right back after these messages, folks.
This is the emergency broadcast system. This is not a test. The following message is being transmitted at the request of the state governor's office. A hazardous material leak has been detected in the western suburban portions of Raccoon City. Evacuations of select neighborhoods are set to begin at 9 a.m. Central Time and are in place for the western portion of Raccoon City. Shelter-in-place order is in effect for the following Art Lake County zones: Raccoon City, District of Cedar, Stone Hill, Rose Hill, Old Horn. Stay tuned to all local television and radio broadcasting for further details.
Horror in gaming. Now that's something that blew me away when I first learned about it back in the day as a child. I didn't really have that many video gaming consoles growing up. I owned a Game Boy for a long time, and I would go to my aunt's house in Brooklyn and play Nintendo a whole bunch. But I think it wasn't until Sega Genesis came out, and I'm talking about the I think it was the third generation Sega Genesis, the sleek, smaller one. That was the first console I got in my house. So, and the games that I got for that, they were mostly rated along, kids, teens. My mother, who was a police officer at the time, she really tried to stick to the whole ESRB rating system thing when it came out. She tried to stray away from getting me mature games, even though she couldn't help it, and it did wind up happening. But my introduction to horror in gaming, was Resident Evil. It was me looking at the Resident Evil articles in a GamePro magazine, because I didn't even have a PlayStation yet at the time that game came out. By the time Resident Evil 2 came out, I did have a PlayStation, but I wasn't allowed to have it because it was rated M, and I believe I was 11 years old at the time when that game came out. Luckily, my neighbor got his hands on it And that's how I got my hands on Resident Evil 2. So when it comes to horror gaming, survival horror is the first and foremost introduction I got to it. And I believe that's probably a lot of people's as well too, unless you consider some early horror games that existed back then, like the Splatterhouse series or Night Trap. That was one that existed back then that I didn't even know about at the time. But a lot of horror style gaming, it was hard to convey the scary. Not like it is today. You look at horror games today and they're pretty damn good. Sometimes they're better than movies, man. Especially when it comes to the effects that they're able to produce as opposed to CGI in films and even practical effects can do. But if I had to choose an old school game for you to play here during the October season, if you're even able to get your hands on it, it's called Sweet Home. Some of you may have heard of Sweet Home, and there's actually a movie that you can watch that goes right along the lines of it. It is a Japanese horror movie that came out in the 1980s, I believe the late 80s, maybe 1989 is when it came out, because that's when the game came out as well too. Sweet Home, the video game for Famicom in Japan, came out at the same time as Sweet Home, the film. It was a hand-in-hand thing. You know, they were big on that back in the day, promoting films with video games and vice versa. Any big-name films that came out, they had to make a video game to go with it. E.T., rest your soul. So, we have Sweet Home, which is considered to be, I think, the first survival horror video game to come out. And you guessed it, it's made by Capcom. A lot of people don't know that Sweet Home is the early blueprint for what would become Resident Evil in 1996. Go and check out videos of Sweet Home. I wish I had the live streams of me doing Sweet Home on Twitch. I probably don't, but maybe that would be something for me to do here on the channel. Throw it in the comments if you guys want to see me throw any kind of video game play on this channel. I will throw some on there, but you can suggest some in these videos as well too. But go check out Sweet Home if you get the chance. Check out videos of it, or go check out the video online. If you're on Facebook, I want you to go over to my channel over on Facebook, Viper's Fury 86 Gaming. I believe you could just look up ViperX Live on Facebook. We'll include a link here. I have the entirety of Sweet Home, the movie, uploaded to Facebook Gaming in the best quality that I was able to get it up there in as well too. But it's the entire movie. And let me tell you something, that movie is pretty frightening. For those of you that know Asian Japanese horror, you're in for a treat, especially this being a late 80s horror movie. Oh man, it is pretty rough. And of course, the video game cannot convey that terror and that dread and that craziness that you see in the film in the same way, because this is an early Nintendo game. But this game is one of my favorite survival horror games that I have ever played, and you can 100% see where Resident Evil gets everything from with this game. And it's made by Capcom, so it's not like it's a steal or anything like that. For crying out loud, the door opening sequences are present in Sweet Home, the ones that were made famous in Resident Evil. Another horror go-to, especially in the retro gaming realm, that I would say that you need to check out is something that I also discovered around the same time as Resident Evil 3, and that was Silent Hill, the original Silent Hill. Now let's hope and pray. I keep seeing things online about there being a Silent Hill remake, but I'm not 100% sure if that's confirmed or not. But if they're going to remake the first game, Lord have mercy, am I with it. There's something about the first Silent Hill game that is very unique, and the retro feel to the original game on PlayStation adds to that creepy charm. That's why I'm saying go get your hands on the PlayStation version and play that game, or check out some videos of it online. I don't think I have anything on there as well too, but that is another staple that I used to stream a whole bunch, and I should get some videos out there of that. You can check out here on my YouTube channel though. There is a couple of videos that show endings to different games and scenes from different video games, the cinematics. I have videos that showcase all of the endings to the first 3 Silent Hills right here on this channel. They do not have that many views. Go check them out. Give them a like, because it's all the endings, including the goof endings, the UFO endings and such too.
Sorry.
Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair?
Throughout my time as a streamer, I really tried to play as many horror titles as I could possibly get my hands on, especially the ones that I really wanted to play, maybe even the ones that I never got to play. But we could sit here and talk about horror gaming all night long, especially my personal experiences with them. But what I'm going to opt to do instead is throw some Viper Pit live clips at you. So I had made a couple of pre-recorded content videos where I collected clips from my live streams on Twitch a couple years back. They date back to about 2022. And I made pre-recorded videos out of those, but I never posted them anywhere. But I think that this show is a good place to show those off, especially when they're pertaining to the content that we're talking about. So I'm going to show you all of the clips from the Viper Pit Live, I think episode 2 that I had done, that are pertaining to the Halloween season. Here's some scary stuff. And we'll also give you an idea of some of the horror games that I like to play.
Hey, I didn't mean
He was like, whoa, wait a minute.
Don't bother. I understand. You've been laughing at me all along, haven't you? Ever since we first met. I'll kill you, James!
He really does. It ends this fight so quick if you can hit him with that thing. But if not, you have to be super careful because he'll shoot you. He takes away a lot of damage when he shoots you. You walked into it, fool. Get out. What? Hey,
can you write in the book?
Don't piss him off. Oh God.
Oh yeah, he's in here. He's in
sure?
there. 100%.
Did he knock the book off again?
No, but he turned off the lights and gave me the sweet whisper of nothingness in my ear.
Dude, we got orange. We got 4 in there.
Good. Yeah, he's active now.
So what do we do?
Keep asking questions.
I was gonna
Get
say,
the hell out.
No.
Grab explosives.
Be careful if he's hunting.
Shut the door.
Oh yeah.
What the fuck does that thing? Go.
Someone save me!
Yes.
I walked outside.
I got a picture of him open the fucking door. Oh my God, my face. Take my camera and run. I got a picture of him. Oh, what the hell?
The door, by the way.
I think I'm dead. You are definitely getting one of these kills. Ooh, yeah. So that's yep, regular enemy, but didn't last very long. I've got plenty of these. I've been saving up these special attacks. Dynamite. Sick. Ain't nothing but a short walk. Yo, Robbie. That's great. There goes the lion. Alright, folks. We may want to back up a little bit. This could be bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the road with the Lost City of America here on our YouTube channel, here on VF86 TV. And it has been quite a road. If you checked out the previous Viper Talk episode, I got into the history of how the Lost City of America documentary was made, which I'm actually in the process of trying to download the very first version of the Lost City of America from Facebook. It's posted on there on my page, on my Facebook page that I had mentioned previously in the show. You can go check it out if you want. It's in 4 parts. And it is not voiced. It's just music, cutscenes, and text on the screen. That is the first and original Lost City of America. Then you have the 4-hour-long one that's here on the channel. That was the one that I had done to kind of rehash that and make an actual film out of it. And now you have the definitive edition, which takes the second version and condenses it down to everything that's important and puts it in one flat, nice, neat package format for you. And I do hope that you are all enjoying the Lost City of America Definitive Edition. It's gaining some traction. It's getting up there. The second version, the 4-hour-long one, episode 1 is sitting somewhere over 625,000 views. I would love to see the Definitive Edition reach that, but I am not someone who demands. But folks, for those of you that are watching, if you have Resident Evil fans out there that you know would enjoy the Lost City of America documentary, please, 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 please direct them to it. Shameless plug, I know, but I want people to see this because I know the cravings for really good live-action Resident Evil, they exist. And though I cannot deliver a Resident Evil film to you guys yet, I feel like this project here is one of the best things that we can give you for now. And I'm trying to stay in tune with the lore. And the Lost City of America documentary right now, the one that's out that we just put out, is kind of important because if you noticed, for those of you that have watched, I've left several doors open that are going to take us into Resident Evil 9, which is slated for release here in 2026 in February. So there's mentions of Alyssa. We made sure that Alyssa Ashcroft is mentioned in there. And there is more solid information about why the city is still standing, for instance. So right now, that documentary sits as a nice little treasure trove. And even though it is the end of us exploring Raccoon City, so to speak, we're still going to visit that city. We can still continue to do so. But it's time to move on with the rest of the series. And we're going to move on with the rest of the series in order. So I don't want to give away too many details of what's coming next, but if you know how the Resident Evil timeline works out, you should get an idea of what's coming next with the next documentary. This next video is probably going to be somewhere along the length of one of the Lost City Files episodes. Maybe about 40 minutes long, maybe an hour or so. I got to see how much I could condense this into. But the next one is coming, and it is about a lesser liked Resident Evil game that still counts as canon. However, with this one, we're going to have to take some liberties with this, with filling in some holes, because this game came out in 2000, and the canon was rewritten for Resident Evil in 2002 with the release of the Resident Evil remake and Resident Evil 0. The canon was all put together and made into what you see now. So this game, they did not revisit this game with the canon. So when you play this game, even though this game is part of the canon timeline of Resident Evil, there are aspects about this game that don't quite make sense because they were not reworked into the rewrite of the canon. So in making the next video about this particular game, I'm going to have to take some liberties to fill in those gaps. I do hope all of you will forgive me, but I do fancy myself as a fan fiction writer. I've been writing fan fiction since I'm a small teenager, but I just never did anything with it or put it anywhere. So you can take my word for it, or you could dig through some of these Resident Evil videos and try to point out where I have taken my liberties to bring you this story in one concise manner. I have done it. It's in there. Let's see how many of you can find some of them, huh? So aside from more continued Resident Evil content, I know you probably have also noticed that we have a Silent Hill ARG analog horror style video that's on the channel. The Walter Sullivan tapes is a series that I have planned for this channel. I just haven't really gotten it off the road yet, but that video I made, that analog video, that Welcome to Silent Hill video, that Lost tape, that is us dipping our feet into what you can expect it to look like. It's going to be a mix mash of analog horror videos that are going to tell the story of Walter Sullivan in a way that is basically through his perspective. Think of these as tapes that someone found in Silent Hill that have been re-recorded and re-recorded and re-recorded. So there's just cuts of all kinds of crazy stuff. And they're rumored to be haunted. So there's going to be all kinds of wild visuals that you're going to see in the process of Walter Sullivan explaining all of his madness and everything that happens. Because what he does in Silent Hill 4 does trail back and connect to the rest of the original series as well too. You really had to have played 1, 2, and 3 to kind of understand, especially some of the victims and the characters and the families involved and all that stuff. Silent Hill 4 is actually a pretty good game. I was a late bloomer with Silent Hill 4, but I'm glad that I got my hands on it because it provided me with the basis of how I want to present to you my reality take on Silent Hill. And keep in mind, these things like the Lost City of America and these Walter Sullivan tapes, these are fan fiction works that are meant to exist in the universes of these games. So the Lost City of America, if you were someone who existed in the Resident Evil universe as a citizen, that's a documentary that just exposed truths to you that you thought that you'd never find out. It's stuff that's still being considered conspiracy to this day just got exposed. And there's more of a backstory to the Lost City of America that I'm working on with Brandon Slappy that we're going to present to you as well too. It's a fan fiction story, so Once again, that's not going to end. But the Walter Sullivan tapes is coming hopefully soon. I got to see, because as I was getting ready to work on that, I have a third project, and this one needs to come out as soon as possible. It doesn't have anything to do with Resident Evil or horror games or anything like that. So let's explain real quick. As a lot of you know, I've been, and maybe some, I mean, a lot of you know, but some of you don't, because we got a lot of new people watching here, the content. I've been doing some form of live streaming since 2015. It's 2025. So my math is correct. We hit a decade. Now, if you go on my Facebook page, the Viper's Fury 86 gaming page, that's like my most original work out there that exists right now. You'll see that it says that the page was created, I think, in 2017. But that's not true at all. A lot of people who were on Facebook gaming before, a lot of people who were streaming on Facebook before Facebook gaming became a thing can tell you that information on their pages changed when they went and switched their page over to a gaming creator page. That was a process that you had to go through in the early days, along with all these other crazy ass processes that wound up not mattering at the end of the day because they've changed everything. So my page went from being created in 2015 to having turned over to being an official gaming creator page in 2017, and that is the date that it reflects. But Viper's Fury 86 Gaming was made in late 2015, early 2016, because I had started streaming video games on Twitch at that time. And I remember because Doom 2016 was brand new, and that was the game that I streamed on Twitch. And I decided to make a Facebook page to advertise the Twitch on there. Before Twitch, I was streaming movies and television shows using my own personal page on Facebook, my identity on Facebook. I was streaming stuff on there and getting copyright hits and shit. It was crazy. And then I wound up opening up the Miskatonic Theater of Fright, which still exists on Facebook to this day. And at the time, you used to be able to do watch parties, and that's what I would do. I would start a watch party, and I would throw on OBS, and I would throw on a horror movie or a TV show, or a string of them, and we'd watch that. And it was fantastic. And that evolved into me wanting to do gaming, sent me over to Twitch, and then I did the Facebook thing, and then I saw, if I could stream movies and TV shows on Facebook, why not stream video games on there too? And then I went and did that, and me and several other people stuck with that until Facebook gaming was created. As you can probably tell through this winded-ass explanation that I did not want to give you to begin with, there's a big history behind my streaming on Facebook, and there's a big history that can only be told by a page like mine and the pages that were like mine. So it's not just me. There's a story that can be collectively be told by all these pages. Now, I don't know if I could get all these people together to do this. There was also a shit ton of drama that occurred on Facebook gaming in those early days and into about 2018, 2019. It was wild. But this third project that I'm working on for this channel that I want to put out there is going to basically be a documentary about the early days of streaming video games on Facebook. What it was like in 2014, 2015, 2016. What led Facebook Meta to decide, hey, we need to do Facebook gaming, and what that meant for all of us who had already been streaming on Facebook for several years before that, which we technically weren't supposed to be able to be doing, because a lot of you, if you remember from those early days on Facebook, the only way to go live was through your phone. So us doing it using OBS on our computers was like, they were like, whoa, how the hell? And there's a big story behind it. So the next big video project that's going to come out is going to be a documentary that is going to talk about those early days of streaming and how Facebook gaming came to be from that, and our experiences with that through the perspective of us, the streamers, the boots on the ground. And hopefully, I'm hoping and praying and working at my hardest to try to get as many of these people together as possible so that I could do interviews and get their perspectives on things. how their pages started, why they decided to start streaming, what drew them into Facebook and why. You know, like I want to get, there's a whole, like I said, there's a whole story to be told, but I don't want to be the one who tells the whole thing. I want to get the perspective of all these people, because a lot of these people, I feel like they deserve it as well too. A lot of us put some serious work into those early days, not knowing that anything was going to become of it. We didn't do it for money reasons or fame or anything like that. There was a whole completely other big thing behind it. And me telling you about it is one thing, but me getting everybody else's accounts of it as well too, man, is it going to be such a good story to tell. So let's hope and pray that we can get all these people together for this, as well as all the rest of the projects as well too, which is going to lead me into one final thing that I'm going to throw at you here about the projects that we're doing here on the channel. As you have undoubtedly seen, I like to take people and make voice actors out of them. Now, of course, we're not becoming these big famous voice actors or anything. We're not making all this crazy money here on this channel or anything like that. But I like taking just regular people, especially creators like me, grassroots creators, and being like, hey, help me out with this passion project here. Why don't you be the voice of this character from this Resident Evil thing? That is still something that I need going on here. And now I've had someone reach out to me in the comment section of The Lost City of America and reached out to me in email as well too, but that got lost in the ether, and I apologize to that person, and I hope they see this video and they jump in again. Otherwise I'm gonna have to dig through my email and try to find it. But I need voice actors and actresses. I need voice talent. And I need an equal amount of males and females. Now, I'm putting this out here because me going and trying to message females on the internet is just absolutely not going to happen. Ask anyone that I have worked with on these Resident Evil projects how much of a nightmare it has been to get a female voice actress. And it is not because they're doing anything wrong or anything like that. It is because they are rightfully so wary of males on the internet and interactions on the internet. They're going to be careful. So me being someone who is not famous or anything like that comes in and is like, hey, I wonder if you would like to, I see that you have voice acting stuff, or I see that you create content and I've heard your voice. I think you'd be great for this. What do you think? Man, you never get any answers back. So I am here to plead with you folks out there that I need male and female voice actresses for definitely the continuation of the Resident Evil series here. I have roles that need filling for both established characters in the Resident Evil lore and for characters that I have created myself. So what I'm going to do here at the end of this video is there's going to be a link to an email that you will be able to email. You can send me an email saying that you want to help out. And what I will do is I will get back to you, and I'll probably send you something stupid to say. And you send me a voice recording, which my requirements for voice recordings are not insane. You don't need crazy equipment or professional equipment. You don't even need to be a professional voice actor. If I give you something to read, it's probably a file from a Resident Evil game that I would like voiced. Some of them do require some emotion to be put into it, but for the most part, I usually just require you to be yourself and to read the file, you know, pertaining to what's going on. Try to get it as close to that as possible. And for reference, for any of you that are curious, go back and check out some of the other Lost City of America and Lost City Files episodes that exist on the channel, particularly the sections that include voice actors, and see what you'd be getting yourself into. Go ahead and send me an email, tell me that you're interested, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. I will do so, and we'll talk and see what I have a project that's coming up that we're working on right now that's pertaining to Resident Evil, and I will need a few people for that. So, well, that about does it for now. I think we've covered quite a bit here, and I'm pretty happy with the way that this has turned out. And I really do like this Viper Talk thing. I really want to keep this going in both video form, and I want to continue with the podcast on Spotify. You're seeing reels pop up a whole bunch. There should be more videos like this that are going to come up too. And I do want to post more stuff about gaming as well. I know a lot of people are on here because of the Resident Evil content, but this channel has always prided itself in being a variety channel. So the aim here is to be a small version of G4 TV with a little mix of Toonami and you know, Adult Swim anime vibes thrown in there as well too, where we base our content around popular pop culture, primarily gaming, but we're also going to be getting into films, literature, anything that has to do with these interests that I know a lot of the people out there watching are interested in. We're going to try to cover as much of it here as we can too, but don't worry, we shall feed the Resident Evil need as well too, because that is honestly the thing that shaped my whole persona as a streamer for a while. I like I said, this channel has always prided itself on variety. However, our staple has always been Resident Evil, so definitely expect that stuff to continue. But I think that's all we got going on here for this evening now, folks. I thank you so much for joining me here on this second episode of Viper Talk. Hopefully I'll have a more cohesive schedule as to when these episodes are going to come out. I would like to get another one out here before October ends. Try to pop it out a little bit closer to the wonderful date itself of October 31st. But until the next episode comes out, folks, thank you so much for checking out this one, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Take it easy. And if I don't see you before October ends, have yourselves a great Halloween.
Hey kids, looking for fun and adventure? Come on down to Camp Laughter, where the sun never sets and the fun never stops.
So pack your bags and join us this summer. Campfires, new friends, and non-stop fun are waiting for you at Camp Laughter!